This man was downstairs. He was absolutely downstairs because he was running through the bottom room and hallway of the house that we were staying in. And I'll never forget just the fear. I'll never forget the fear that I had in my chest. It was a gaping hole where my chest was, but it was just in my soul because I realized when I have to kill this man. I have to kill this man when I see him. He had just shot at our convoy not 5 minutes ago. And we killed 3 of his buddies. Dropped 3 of them. Shooting they had an RPK, an RPG-7, and just regular AK small arms fire. Thankfully missed everyone. They were terrible marksmen, or they were nervous and scared. And they had no idea that we were there, that we were watching them. Well, my team leader was watching them. I was asleep at the time because we rotated on being up as we started. And everything was over in like 36 seconds. Absolutely everything. Except the last man who tried to escape and ran towards our direction. My team leader went off to look for him, and I had to stay on the radio. But I had lost contact with him, and I heard movement downstairs. I heard running sounds downstairs that did not have the same muffled, heavy running of a U.S. soldier. So I knew that this was him. I didn't know if he was armed. I assumed that he was armed. I know he was probably scared, and I actually fixed my bayonet in that case, in this situation, because I didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't know where my buddy was. I had to assume he was missing. So I was going to have to handle this guy by myself. Now, mind you, I had just turned 19. I had just turned 19. I hadn't been a scout sniper 4 months yet. And it was that defining moment in a young soldier and a young young fighter's life. I still don't believe that it happened, but it did, because it seems so out of character for how the rest of my life is. But we missed each other by about 3 seconds, I think. 4 if I was being generous. If you can imagine being on just a simple 2-story building with a normal redirectional stairwell or staircase to where you can look down and see the entryway to the floor below you. I missed him by 3 seconds of that. By the time I ran up to the stairwell, I heard the foot shuffling sounds leave the building. So now the problem on why I didn't chase him is because I had to stay on the radio. Other units were trying to contact us. The other team was trying to reach us. Command was trying to reach us. Home base was trying to reach us. Someone had to stay on the radio because they did not get a response. They're going to think that we were both unable to respond. And so they were going to send lightning out right away, which they did anyway, as well as the other team came to our station to help secure the area, find us, and really find out what happened, and get these dead bodies out of here, and get rid of this truck. These I think they were driving I think it was really 2 or 3 SUVs. So these were probably either Toyota or maybe Lexus cars. So yeah, high-end stuff, because these guys I can't remember if they were Fedayeen or Ba'ath Party members, the last remnants, precisely the people that we were hunting. So in this case, they kind of came to us, right? And the field had been set to entice these elements to come out of the woodwork and engage U.S. forces, rather than us having to go house to house, street to street, warehouse to warehouse, looking for these people. And just seeing the war in Ukraine, and just seeing the footage of what's going on over there, I only had a small taste of the intensity of that, because having been a soldier and having worked in logistics before going to infantry, going into infantry is really going back in time, because infantry is what some believe to be the world's second oldest profession, with prostitution being the world's oldest profession. So the profession of arms and essentially man-to-man combat would be the first or second, well, first proper profession of martial ability. Right? Prostitution would be just health and welfare and entertainment, and then you get to the fighting after that. So yeah, you're going to have fun first before you fight. But it's a very, 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 very old tradition for humanity, right? We like to kill each other. It's terrible, terrible stuff. I hope and pray that humanity gets past that one day, but for now, we still live in that time. And for a self-described young warrior type, a fighter type, infantry type, who my biggest desires in life was just travel the world and get into adventures, fly jets, and have an excuse to beat up bad people, bullies and stuff. You can beat up a bully. It just takes you have to set, it's like a math equation. You have to set up the equation for the numbers to work when you want to take a bully down. But that was what I started doing at 6 years old. Like really 5 or 6 is when I dealt with my first bully. And I would subsequently deal with the rest of them as they showed up. It was just something I found that I was really good at. Something that was really just fun, being able to dip into that world and have a reason to unload your anger and fury and frustration and wrath and indignation, right? Because you're just defending yourself from an aggressor. You just keep telling someone to keep their hands off of you. And you use force to defend yourself to accomplish that task. And it requires, in a sense, love, right? It requires self-love. You need to be able to love yourself enough to be willing to do anything to stop this person from treating you in a way you don't like. And so that requires that confrontation that everyone has to face at one point. So in a way, being an infantry soldier, learning how to professionally fight someone man to man is an incredibly unique entity, because not only do you train to do it in a professional military setting, but you use that same energy in your personal setting, just dealing with people when power levels align. There's some people who wield such power to where you have to be able to adhere to them and operate inside that hierarchy that exists in society, both in the civilian world and obviously in the military world, because there are hierarchies in our regular world too. Race, class, caste, financial situation, official titles. Those are all ways in which humanity is structured. But anyway, it was combat is a real combat situation is something else. It is a whole, it is a micro world. It is an app within the OS that is life, because it is an old tradition that humanity has engaged in, but it's one where very much, certainly only one person will walk away from it. And someone will be sent to the other side in that encounter. And everything happens so fast. I always say, in situations like that, combat situations of danger, true mortal danger, seconds or minutes or hours, and hours, just forget about it, because whatever's going to happen will have happened by then. So for us, when I was a scout sniper, I never had any expectation that if something went wrong, we would have help. I always ran under the assumption that it was me and my sniper or my spotter, and that's it. That's it. Because on a good day, on the best days, with little to no traffic, it would take lightning 15 minutes to get to us. And in a life and death situation, in a firefight, the combat situation, when we had our engagement, I mean, everything, it felt like an eternity. It happened at like 6:02 a.m., like very early in the morning. The sun hadn't even peaked over the horizon yet. The world was still bathed in that pre-dawn glow, that bluish, that hazy, isotropic, bluish, hazy color. And everything was done by the time it was like 6:37. It was over. 30 minutes. It was it. Lightning got there at like, I don't even know when they got there, maybe 11 minutes. It could have been anywhere between 11 minutes or 18 minutes, which is why I said 15 minutes. I mean, they were tagging the bodies, getting the vehicles out of there, getting the medics, getting the blood cleaned up at what, like 7 something. Everything was cleaned up by 8. So the day hadn't even started yet. It wasn't even 9 o'clock. It's like 8:45, and I'm just wired. I'm absolutely wired. Both of us were. Just to say, man, what the hell was that? And we were just halfway through the deployment. We had another like 6 months to go before we came home. Yeah, and I hadn't been a scout sniper for 3 months. So my adventure was just getting started, and life for me in the Army was literally just being on the rocket ship. Everything was going so fast. There was so much going on because of the war, and then being in the 101st, you know, and with our command structure at the time, and our just flavor of leadership and personnel, you know, we're all ex-Green Berets and Rangers. And they ran our unit, 327th Infantry. I swear they ran it. They were trying. If they could run it like a Ranger regiment, or a Ranger unit, they would have. I mean, dude, 300, a perfect PT score was considered the standard. I mean, yeah, okay, a good passing PT score was like 270, right? Like a good passing one. Like you are just cruising above the clouds. You know, 230 was passing. And these people wanted 300 standard. As a standard. They want more than that. They really want more than that. But 300 is where they really want you to be. You know, it's now I can appreciate what they were trying to accomplish, right? They really want you to go to school. They want you to go to Ranger school. They want you to go to selection. EIB is not optional, nor is Air Assault school. If you want to do selection, or if you want to do Ranger school, Airborne school is going to be required, so you're going to go to jump school anyway. So, and this unit was very much a move up or move out. There was an expectation that you were going to accomplish these tasks and these schools if you were to receive any kind of promotion and enhanced leadership opportunities. Yeah, so it was really much it was a boom or bust kind of deal. You know, you guys were either Johnny on the spot, or they weren't going anywhere. And so I moved quickly. I was moving really quickly. I mean, you know, they were giving me a team before I knew it. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, just as soon as I kind of get it, as soon as I kind of just get this new position that I get, these people are pushing me up somewhere. So it was like, it was really neat. I was really lucky. I was very lucky to serve with those that I did. They knew how to recognize talent, and they put talent where it needed to be, and they saw a lot in me. Things I couldn't see that they did and that they appreciated, and it really opened a lot of doors. And so, I don't know. I can't speak for other people who've had bad Army experiences, but mine was really good, really good. I miss it, but mine was cut short. I was yet another casualty of the war. My career was a casualty. So not all casualties are KIA or WIA. PTSD, hey, I'm the poster boy for it. I mean, it was a lot to it was a lot to ask of a kid, of a 19-year-old. But hey, it's war. You need good, bright people in places. You have to ask them and push them, and you just hope that they overcome everything. And I can say that I did now at 40. I can talk about the war. I want to talk about it. I'm continuing this book. I have more videos and photos to talk and show and demonstrate now that we're coming up to the 20th year anniversary of the Iraq invasion, Operation Iraqi Freedom. And it's things that need to be talked about, truth that needs to be discussed. And I laugh at the idea of misinformation, because in the time I had the privilege to serve as a scout sniper, information was blood for me. I needed and wanted to know everything. I wanted to know absolutely everything that was going on around me at any given point in time. Paranoia became my best friend. I always like to think that my older team leaders, guys that had been in 5-6 years, and maybe 4 years, E4s, I always wanted to believe that they had a silent grasp on themselves and on the situation. But now I remember, man, these guys were kids too. Maybe early 20s. I don't really remember. And so no, they didn't get it. But but when you're young, you think people even just a few years ahead of you got it figured out. And no, they don't. No, they don't. Some people never do. But then, hey, some young people have it figured out than other people. So it's a very much individual, spiritual, conscious kind of journey. The video game that is you, we're all playing the world's greatest MMO, massively multiplayer online game. We're all just connecting in from our own various ports, our own various computers. So all of our perspectives literally are different. But we can still group up, we can still go on raids together, we can still trade, we can still talk, we can still have drama, we can still have life here. So that's another reason why I like to do these videos, is to be able to, while I'm still in my youth in some degree, my hair isn't growing back before, to be able to kind of reach back, kind of give younger people a heads up on what lies ahead. Scouting is what I would have done it for a career if I could have, but I continued my journey outside of the Army. I just took all the military stuff out, and all of the other scouting things remained. And it took me all over the world, and in a way, it can take you forward and backwards in time too, in and out of this reality and dimension, into the fourth and then into the fifth. Those things are a thing. They're a hypothetical thing, but it's a mental construct that you can work with. You can work with a lot of mental tools to help orient yourself mentally in terms of where your imagination is and how you can orient or direct that imagination to very specific bits of information. This isn't one of those, if you ever used to stay up really late at night watching cable TV like in the 90s, and if you stay up late enough, 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, especially during like a weekend, you'll get some of those really weird commercials. those weird commercial selling, if they're not selling you the idea of a yacht and getting rich, if they're not trying to take advantage of like your grandparents, getting them to like flush all their money in timeshare, then they're trying to sell you these kind of weird mental, Ouija board like things, except it'll help you learn and unlock the mysteries of the universe. All this stuff is made up. It's pseudo. It's this stuff that's made enough to kind of fiddle people around and waste their time. There is a quantifiable, reproducible way in which we can communicate how to interpret symbols and mental matrices to be able to locate and position things in an area around us. That's just a fancy way of saying, hey, look, I can see the squirrel over there, right? If I close my eyes, the squirrel is still there, right? Object permanence. It has a place in this material plane. On this earth, it has a latitude and longitude. That squirrel has its own latitude and longitude. Hey, guess what else has latitude and longitude? Your phone with a GPS in it. And it sends data to these little towers, and through triangulation can give anyone who has access to that data pinpoint real-time updated location of where you are right this second. That would be fantastic to have for all kinds of reasons. But if we don't have access to that, you can use probability and a good dose of anthropology in basic sense, common sense or street sense, right? To really kind of imagine where someone would be. And you can make that into a map and a chart. You can plug that into a computer too. All with your imagination and common sense, which is a skill that I see in quite depressing low numbers. Doesn't seem to be a skill that's being passed around too much anymore. So that's another point of concern. But I hope you will consider joining me again as I go through and discuss more brand new and never before seen perspectives on the 2003 Iraq War. And perhaps learn a little bit about yourself and the world as we all go and we continue our journey.